Hello guys, this is John XR here and welcome to this fourth review of the Bahrain Grand Prix today, and it was actually pretty fascinating race, a lot of great moves and great drives from almost all drivers, but we'll talk about that later on. So this was the Bahrain Grand Prix, and there was some rumors going on before the race actually about the Lewis and Rosberg battle in China Grand Prix, and there were some rumors that Lewis has asked the team for the #1 driver and something on, and for the contract that he is not signed already with the Mercedes. But yeah, he said that he hasn't asked for that #1, and he just clears things up, so we are not talking about that more. And Red Bull are hoping to be 5th in the constructors standings, I believe, and they are trying to fight with Williams. They were saying that before the race, and Renault haven't sorted the problems with the engines, and they said they haven't fixed the problems that occurred in China Grand Prix, so the same problems can occur actually in Bahrain. And that's basically it. So now moving on to the qualifying session, and well, that wasn't an ideal start for Nico Rosberg. He qualified in 3rd place, and Rosberg was looking really bad going into this 4th round, and he was beaten in all rounds of the previous rounds, the Australia, Malaysia and China. Against Lewis Hamilton, he was not looking very good, and in the team battle actually. And yeah, then moving on to Button had a tough weekend actually. I can spoil it that he hasn't even started the race, and he hasn't even started the qualifying session as well. So yeah, he got a lot of problems in his car, but hopefully they will be sorted out before Spanish Grand Prix. Then there was an incident in practice session 2, I believe, where Vettel has crashed into the Perez, and actually it was that Vettel's front right tire was not attached fully to the car, so that was investigated by stewards, and they decided not to give him a penalty, so Ferrari just missed out a penalty, so lucky for them. And we saw a great step up from McLaren, and actually it was very good that Alonso have qualified in the 14th place. So that's really nice from Fernando Alonso, and we are looking that they can fight. They are looking that he can fight actually, and maybe in the European rounds we'll see a lot of fight from them, maybe for points, for like 10th position, 9th, something like that. And yeah, now out of Q1 there was Button, who hasn't started even the qualifying session, then Mary, Stevens, Kvyat and Maldonado, nothing unusual here. Out of Q2 there was Verstappen. That was pretty unusual, I have to say. Not a great weekend for Verstappen, and yeah, not very good. Then Alonso, Ericsson, Nasa and Perez out of Q2 as well. Yeah, Kvyat struggling. That's very bad thing for Red Bull actually. Kvyat had the same problem, I think brake problem, something like that, and he qualified in 17th place, so just overtaken the one McLaren that hasn't started even the qualifying session, and the Mauritius. And that's all that Kvyat can do on the Saturday evening. So qualifying results: Hamilton first. Vettel has had a great qualifying session actually, and he was only 4/10 behind Lewis Hamilton. Rosberg has started the race in 3rd place. He qualified there. Raikkonen, great performance from him, and it's 4th place for Raikkonen. Bottas 5th place, Massa 6th, Ricciardo 7th. That was quite nice to see Red Bulls up there, and a great contrast from Ricciardo and Kvyat. 7th place for Ricciardo and 17th for Kvyat. And Hülkenberg that was another surprise here, and he qualified in 8th place, so that's very good for Hülkenberg. Then Sainz had a nice qualifying session as well, 9th place, and Grosjean ending up the top 10. Yeah, the tires were medium, soft, and intense and wet, so nothing really unusual for Pirelli. And that's basically it about qualifying session. Now let's move on to the race. And the first thing that was really unusual and I don't know, maybe frustrating. So about 20 minutes before the race, the McLaren had announced that Button is not going to start the race because they found something in the energy recovery system and found that there's something unsafe, and there was 100% chance that it will fail during the race, so they even didn't bother to start the car. And yeah, then early problems for Massa. Actually, there was start into the formation lap, and Massa didn't get off his starting position, and it was looking like an electrical problem, but thankfully Williams have started the car, and Massa has started the race from pit lane, so that was not really good for Massa because he was qualified in 6th place and he had to start from the 19th place, so not very good for him. Then we had a nice battle between, it wasn't a battle actually, but we got a nice move from Raikkonen, who overtaken Rosberg in turn 1, and it really looked nice, and there was nothing like Rosberg could do. It looked like Vettel have parked the bus on the apexes, and Rosberg just was held up, and Raikkonen just moved around the outside of Rosberg up into P3, I think, at that moment. Then Sainz and Maldonado had a 5-second penalties. Lap 8, finally Rosberg moves into P2 again. He overtaken Kimi Raikkonen on the turn 1 in like lap 4, something like that, I don't know. And lap 8, Rosberg moved into P2, overtaking in the same spot as he overtakes Kimi Raikkonen. He overtakes Sebastian Vettel, and he is up into the P2. So yeah, we saw a nice climb, recovery drive from Massa, and actually it was really good. He managed to finish the race in 10th place, and well, that wasn't too bad actually. Maybe he could do a bit better, but it wasn't his fault. He was stuck in traffic and got some damage, I believe, somewhere, but still very good, scoring 1 point for Williams, and yeah, real nice. Then Ferrari, it looked like Ferrari not having the pace there because they were losing time from Merckx, and actually Raikkonen was even faster than Sebastian Vettel, so it was looking really promising for a good race between those two red cars. Then Massa and NASA were squabbling for 10th place. That was really nice. That was really nice part of the race, where two Brazilians were squabbling for the 10th place, and yeah, actually it wasn't that bad fight, and we got a lot of entertainment from that fight actually. Then Ericsson, 28 second pit stop, so that was problems with front left tire, I think. Not sure what happened there, but Ericsson got that long pit stop obviously, and it wasn't really good for this Sauber driver. Then Raikkonen was closing in on Vettel with medium tires. Raikkonen was with mediums, Vettel was with soft tires, and he was like getting 4 or 5 tenths each lap against Vettel, and he was catching him so quickly that Ferrari just changed the strategy and pitted Vettel a lot earlier for the medium tires, as they were working much better for Ferraris this weekend than soft tires. So Sainz was out of the race, as well as Verstappen. I think Verstappen had some problems, not really spotted where he was out of the race, and yeah, so that's quite unfortunate for Toro Rosso. Neither of the drivers finished the race. Then lap 35, there was once again undercut working for Vettel and on Rosberg, and Vettel has moved into the P2 again. Then the end of the lap 35, the lap where Vettel has exited the pits. The end of that lap, Vettel goes wide after the last corner, and Rosberg moves up into the P2 and says thank you very much, Vettel, for that stupid mistake. So, and Vettel actually has lost some amply from his front wing, so he needed to change the front wings, and he lost more time. So it was Bottas who overtaken Vettel in the pit lane, and while he was changing the front wing, then yeah, was a nice thing that this was the first race in all those 4 races where we had no safety car, and possibly if there was safety car we would see a bit different strategies and something maybe more interesting race. But actually it wasn't the race where safety car was deployed, but at the end of the day it was a great race and it was nice to watch that race. Then lap 43. What an unusual sight. Maldonado retires from the race, as in all 3 races before, he retires from the race, and is 4th DNF for him this season. It was looking like, actually, I can see, no, I'm actually wrong. I wrote that he was going to retire, and actually it looked like he was going to retire, because there was smoke from his car, and he just stopped in pit lane for 40 seconds, something like that, and finally the crew let him go on the track, and actually Maldonado finished the race, but he finished in position 15. So, not a 4th DNF. It could be 4th DNF, but thankfully there was no DNF for Maldonado. I don't know really if it's good or if it's bad. Just it's for you to judge about Maldonado. And now, yeah. So Raikkonen was looking really good behind Rosberg, and Raikkonen actually in that moment of the race was 3rd behind Rosberg, and he was looking really good, catching up Rosberg, because Rosberg was with mediums, Raikkonen was with soft tires, and the last podium for Raikkonen was 27 races ago. It was in 2013 Monza, I believe, and it was with Lotus Renault, and if we count the last Raikkonen's podium with Ferrari, that was back in 2009, so really long time for Raikkonen to be on the podium, and actually he finished in the 2nd place, and we'll talk about that later on more. Then Bottas. There was a nice thing with Bottas, he defended well his position, the 4th position against Sebastian Vettel, and he defended well and scored some decent points, 12 points for Williams, so really good weekend for Williams. Not really good for Vettel, as he said after the race that then Raikkonen was fighting with Rosberg while 3 laps left for P2, and lap 56 there was brake failure for 2 AMG Mercedes drivers, for Rosberg and Hamilton, and Rosberg goes wide in the turn 1, and Raikkonen moves up into the P2, and actually the gap, while 2 laps left before, while one lap before finish, the gap between Hamilton and Raikkonen was about 6 seconds, and at the end of that lap, at the finish line, when they crossed it, Lewis Hamilton and Raikkonen's difference was about 3 seconds, so one more lap, and basically I think Hamilton would have wasted the lead because of the brake-by-wire problem for AMG Mercedes drivers. Then Ricciardo was such a lucky person. He finished in 6th place, and with a fantastic finish, his engine has blown and then he crossed the line, so that was really nice to see from this Red Bull driver. And actually in Spanish Grand Prix he is going to use the 4th engine, the last engine for this season, and after that if it breaks, obviously it will break because a lot of races to come they'll have to take engine penalties. And then we have 3 weeks until Spanish Grand Prix, so quite a long journey and quite a long time until the Spanish Grand Prix, but I hope to see a good race there because obviously it's first European Grand Prix this season, and the teams will bring the upgrade packages for the cars, and we'll see. I hope we will see a lot more fight than we saw in these couple of 4 races. Yeah, we have a few minutes, so let's go to the race standing. Lewis Hamilton, nothing unusual. First place, Kimi Räikkönen. Second, as we say, he ended the 27th race draw without podiums. Nico Rosberg, third. Valtteri Bottas, fourth. Sebastian Vettel, not a tough race for him actually. Daniel Ricciardo, great race for him, is 6th. Roman Grosjean, 7th. And Sergio Perez, great drive for him. Daniel Kvyat, great recovered drive as well, it's 9th place. Felipe Massa ending up the top 10. Fernando Alonso, great drive as well, it's 11th place. Felipe Massa, not really eventful race for him, and he lost few positions. Nico Hülkenberg also lost few positions, so not very good race for him. Marcus Ericsson, not really eventful race for him as well. Pastor Maldonado almost retires, almost 4th DNF of the season, but thankfully it isn't the 4th DNF of the season. Will Stevenson, Roberto Merri, 16 and 17. Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz and Jenson Button retires from the race. Now to the driver standings. Lewis Hamilton 93 points, Nico Rosberg has moved into the 6th place with 66 points, Sebastian Vettel drops down into the 3rd place with 65 points, so only 1 point difference between Rosberg and Vettel. Kimi Räikkönen 4th, 42 points, and nothing unusual later on. As we can see, constructors, Mercedes are 159 points, Ferrari about 50 points less, Williams another 50 points less than Ferrari. And that was nice thing that Red Bull Racing actually overtakes Sauber in the constructors, and Sauber moves down to the 5th place. And there's McLaren and Marussia who haven't scored any points this season so far. So that was Bahrain Grand Prix. Pretty nice, I have to say, and really looking forward to the Spanish Grand Prix after 3 weeks time. So we'll see in the next race review video after 3 weeks. So that's been Janex, and I almost forgot, please leave your comments with the race thoughts, and yeah, please leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new to this channel. That's been Janex, guys, see you next time.